Well, good evening, Beach Church. This is Barbara McCarthy, and I'm glad to be with you tonight. This is our Bible study for Thursday, April 3rd, and it's going to be on 2 Samuel, chapters 1 through 3. Well, my, there are a lot of players in these chapters. I had a difficult time keeping track of all of them, but I'll do the best I can. But I would recommend you go in there and look through it yourself, because it might seem jumbled and you might have trouble tracking the story because there's just too many names to really cover in just a few minutes here for our Bible study. So basically, in chapter 1, we see that David is mourning the death of Saul. Saul and his 3 sons were killed in a battle against the Philistines. And, for Saul, it was the end of a very tragic life. He came to the throne humble, but he left it hardened and bittered against God and man. So he had a major life change while he was on the throne. He came in good faith, but then over time he wandered. And that's what we do sometimes. There's all these problems in the world, and we have good intentions, and then all of a sudden we don't have time for our Bible study, and we don't have time for our prayer. So I encourage you not to be like Saul, and to prioritize staying close to the Lord and walking every step with him. And by doing daily Bible studies and praying about what you read, it will definitely keep you closer to God and make you stronger to resist the snares of Satan. A lot of people ask me to pray for them, and they want me to pray because they feel like they are being pulled away. So when you get up in the morning, when you do your prayers, remember to pray about the armor of God. When I used to work with the women in the drug recovery home in Indiana, every morning before they would go out to work, we would have prayer. And we would always read the chapters about the armor of God to make sure they understood that they had their clothes on, they had their strengthening cloaks on, and God was going to protect them. And we wanted them to have a reminder because, they went out to work in places like McDonald's and stuff, and all their little buddies from the drug days would come in. So they needed to be strong. So we always covered that. Saul wandered away because he didn't stay close to God. So he left the people of God and he aligned with the Philistines. So God prevents this, and then he does bring David back, but through heartbreaking circumstances. So many times when we wander away from God, he starts to correct us like a good parent. I think I covered this in my last study. And he brings us back, but he has us go through a path of learning, which is sometimes difficult, isn't it? And that's what David had to go through. So the Amalekites stole everything from David, and he defeated them and brought back his men and his possessions. So God is fully able to deal with his servants, even those who only claim to be his servants. So in other words, you can make believe you're God's servant, but he knows what's really in your heart. He knows what treasures you keep in your heart. And if you're pretending, he knows, and unfortunately, he will judge you and have you learn some hard lessons. So anyway, David sang a lament for Saul and Jonathan because, they were his family, and he was anointed king over Judah then. Then in chapter 2, we see him have some more trouble. This was an ongoing fiasco in these first few chapters. So David was at war with Ishbosheth, I think is how you say it. And David had a war with him. So David was anointed king of Judah, and he knew it was better to let God lift him up through others than to strive to advance himself, okay? So we need to learn the same lessons. We need to learn we should strive to advance God's kingdom and lead the advancement of ourself in his hands. You don't want to promote yourself. That's not carrying your daily cross. So be encouraged. because God is there with you to walk at every step of the way. When you find it overwhelming, and many of you are new Christians, just ask God to give you strength. Ask him to guide you in every step you take. Ask other Christians to pray with you as the day goes on. And if you don't see anybody, you know how to get a hold of us at Beach Church. You can text us. You can seek out people that would be happy to pray for you. So anyway then, so Abner was Saul's cousin, and he wanted to have the real power behind a weak king. So he set up this Ishbosheth as king over Israel because he was weak, and Abner knew he could control him, okay? So basically, Ishbosheth, he was the son of Saul, and he only reigned for 2 years. But David was Saul's son through marriage to Michal, daughter of Saul. So he was also related through the bloodline. So there were diabolical play ensued between all these relatives. It was like, you know how they talk about a dysfunctional family? This was the Old Testament dysfunctional family, you know? And there was all kinds of wars going on between them until finally a ceasefire was called, right? So basically, this was a great victory for David's army in the end. There was a long war with bitter conflict. So we have to stop bolstering up the kingdom of self, okay? And let ourselves be crucified with Christ and carry his cross. Only then can we not focus on ourselves, but what I call the kingdom, I call it the KOG work, the kingdom of God work. That's what we need to be concerned with, because we are here to further his kingdom and go make disciples of all the world. And you know, the world isn't the only place, you know, when we say that, people get confused. They think you need to hop on a plane and go on a mission trip. But I'm telling you, all you have to do is open up your door and your mission field is right there. You have neighbors all around you. You have elderly people that no one ever comes to see. There's people at the boardwalk you could just say hi to. If you see somebody on the street, you may not want to give them money, but give them food, okay? Stop and get a quick meal at McDonald's and give it to them or something, okay? That's how you can further the kingdom of God and be with Jesus and carry his cross. So then finally in chapter 3 then, we see Abner defecting and he's murdered by Joab, okay? So basically, we have to see that Jesus Christ is accepted by us until, you know, we have to, now I made some notes here and I can't even read them, until sin is hated and Jesus Christ is trusted. That was my point. So we have to make sure that until Jesus Christ is accepted and he's trusted, you know, we're worshiping another king, aren't we? We are worshiping another king, and his name is the devil. I hate to tell you that, but it's the truth. And we got a lot of people out in society that worship him. So you know what? Watch out. You know, watch who you listen to. Don't let the words of people like that get into your heart, because they will replace the good treasures. And when you run into people like that, escape from them ASAP, as soon as you can, you know. So basically, what a mess this was. This was like a huge dysfunctional mess. So David mourns for Abner. David mourns for his family members, for Abner and the other ones that were killed. And messes in your life are inevitable. Every single day, something goes wrong. Sometimes, you know, we talk about Murphy's Law, and one thing goes wrong, and then a million things go wrong, right? But have faith, because God is there to walk through those messes with you. And I want to commend you for how well you do at that. Proverbs 14:4 states an important principle, and I'm going to read it to you. When no oxen are, the trough is clean, but much increase comes by the strength of an ox. So just remember that, okay? So what lessons do we learn tonight? Well, follow the Lord and wait for his instruction. Don't just go in there and take everything over for yourself. You need to wait for his instruction. And when we take things into our own hands, that's when we have the mess, isn't it? The mess is really, we make the messes ourselves. We have to accept accountability for that. I know I did. And I just I try. When I see something getting a little layered, I stop and I pray and I try my best to get back on the right track. But I'm old and I've had a lot of years of making many, many mistakes that I've learned from. And I hope that some words can help someone else who might just be starting in their walk as a Christian, okay? So God can lead us out of all these messes only if we trust in him and flee from the evil one. So thank you very much, Beach Church, and people out there on the internet for joining us tonight and listening in. We have a lot of great things coming up at Beach Church, which is located on Baltic Avenue and 15th Street. And, we would love for you to join us on Easter Sunday. We're having a choir of adults and children to worship along with our worship band. Every Wednesday night at 7, we have a live Bible study. And on Sundays, our services are at 9 and 10:30, and we would love to see you. So God bless all of you, and I really appreciate you staying.